But the question that you're asking right now, which is twofold. Number one, my father died when I was 26 years old, and still, I know it's at least a few years later, I'm not going to ask you your age, but it's a fair number of years later where thoughts of him like that will bring you to tears, or the idea of music, and it probably conjures up other painful experiences, even unconsciously. So it makes us cry or avoid, which is, I don't know if you used that word just now, but you did use it with me before when we were talking, to become avoidant or to want to suppress. And you cannot deny your feelings. If you just deny your feelings, if you just repress them, they come up in very difficult ways. And it's like a volcano inside of us, and we don't know what to do with it. And I think it's a big part of the human condition. I've said it before. I think it's particularly difficult for men, where it's not at all a part of their training to actually feel something in the moment, feel it, even if it's painful, and then through our teachings, and this is why there's not a great answer in the moment, because I can't say to anybody, oh, just do this and you will quit avoiding feeling something. It really takes learning how to transform energy, because that's what you're talking about. It is from emotion to devotion, and it gets hard in the heart chakra, but it's also the most rewarding, because it is in the heart chakra where we begin energetically in our astral spine. Believe me, I know this is not solving your problem right now, but I have to say it to give the full answer. This is such an important chakra for being stuck out in the world by being too emotional. It's such an intense human trait, and it keeps us out. Whereas if we can find the ways to offer that energy up to the point between the eyebrows, we talk about this all the time, then it becomes devotional. It becomes about God and not about the human condition. Now that's very hard. It's very challenging. So depending on who the person is, I might say to them, chant more. Just chant more. Or sit in front of Master's picture, look right into his eyes, and celebrate your father's life. And celebrate his death in that he's free. I'm not trying to be mean and deny your feelings or anybody's feelings. I would never do that. But if we don't try and lift them, then we are where we are. Then we are emotional, very emotional beings. And it makes everything in life, everything, not just more challenging, but really virtually impossible. Because you can't get over things emotionally. Yesterday, when I was driving home from this trip I was just on, I was asking my friend about two of her friends who I've been very connected with over the years, but I don't stay in touch with them. They each went through very difficult experiences this year. One was a cancer, and it was a very challenging kind of cancer, and a cancer that she had gone to many doctors and kept saying, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about something on the back of her tongue. And 4 times or more, she was just written off. And it turned out to be a very bad oral cancer. They're very difficult anyway without going into them. And another woman who got extremely bad COVID, lived with pneumonia for about 6 months, had to go through pulmonary rehab. I mean, she's a fraction of what she used to be, even nine months later. Very dear friend of ours, really. And I was saying to my friend, listening to these are really painful stories. Lives changed. The price tag has been huge. I don't need to go into it. But these are two very emotional beings. I know them. It's the way they live their life. They find their happiness in their emotion. Dancing and singing, looks uplifted, but they're very emotional. And I could feel like not only at a feeling level, but at a knowing level. It just came to me how much more difficult the recovery. They're very painful experiences. I would never minimize it, but they can't recover fully. They cannot, because they're stuck. And now let's just forget about these two people, but in these instances, families get stuck, friends get stuck with, oh my God, that is so awful. You poor thing, this is just terrible. Nobody could get over it. It would be difficult for But 9 months later, a year later, and soon it's many years later, and we're still with the same feeling, because that's what happens. You can't heal, you can't solve a problem at the level that it's created. You have to uplift that energy. So the answer is really what you already know, but to put it into conscious practice, to open our hearts to the divine with everything, knowing nothing can happen to any of us that isn't perfect. Nothing. Even when it's the most awful thing that we can imagine, which is what's happening. I don't know that you would say that about your life in that way, but we see it all around. I watch the news. I try and watch the news once a day for about a half hour. I want to know what's going on. But I don't hold on to it. Right now, I can't watch the news because I feel it in my heart. I can't let go of what I'm feeling for a lot of these people is not what they need to heal. So I can't go there. It's better that I meditate those extra 30 minutes. But I think specifically we each need to look for ways. Maybe it's singing. I mean, literally, like joining the choir. I don't know how much longer our choir is going to be able to sing right now. We'll have to see what's going to go on with that. But there will be a choir, there will be music. Chanting, learning to play an instrument, and sitting in front of your altar and loving God. And putting your father's, I'm just using it because you said it as an example, your father's picture there, your cancer there, your COVID there, whatever it is, offer it to God because it came to us for a reason. And ultimately, the reason that everything is handed to us is to give us a perfect opportunity, perfect, like a custom-made event to allow us to feel God's presence in our lives and to go there. So the answer isn't simple, or we'd all be self-realized, is the truth. But what else would we do? I mean, I know you, but everybody who's watching right now, everybody who's here, we're here ready for the hard work because we've come to this point. Our tests will not be easy, but if we can say, thank you for bringing this to me. Really follow Swamiji's example. He did it again and again. And it was always about Master and God for him. And we can do that. But it takes great effort. It's just exactly the thought that I came in here with today. Everything on the path takes a lot of effort, but the greater the effort that we put in, the greater the reward. And the reward isn't some giddy moment of happiness, but it's suddenly realizing one day, you know, I really don't get as emotional or as whatever. It was very hot in Yosemite right now. And my friend Donna is very heat sensitive. And she talked about the heat a lot until I had to forbid it. It's hot. We're not going to talk about it anymore. She said to me, aren't you hot? I said, nope, I don't feel hot. She said, how could that be? I said, make a decision to not be hot. Sounds like a silly example, but it's not. It's the next moment of deciding that we will go into any situation that comes to us without all of the emotional baggage, without all of the reactivity. And it's a hard answer, but it's the correct answer.